Hello, everybody. Welcome to Goose and Gander. Thank you for listening to stuff that Susan and I are just kind of sticking through and getting to know each other. We really do appreciate it. While I'm waiting for her to join me, I would like to invite you to please subscribe, click the subscribe button, make sure the notifications are on so that you can receive our podcasts every Thursday. They release at about 8 a.m. Central Time. So please make sure that you subscribe to that. And then also we have a newsletter, and right down in the description, there's a link to our newsletter. Very, very soon, we're going to start to do regular giveaways through the newsletter. So make sure that you are signed up to that. Here she is. So let's see how she is doing today.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm great. It took me a little while to find the link. I
I'm
went under my
sorry.
past recordings and it asked for a passcode. So anyway, I'm here. Yeah.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh, so good.
How
Oh,
are you
my dog.
doing? Hello, baby. Hello, baby. Oh, I closed the door so all the cats are outside.
Yeah. Oh, they're outside cats. Oh, that's great. Yeah, neither.
I just closed the door. Otherwise, she will come and tail
Oh.
all over again. So she's like, she might call on me in a bit, but yeah, she's the only one. There's two others, but they are just not bothered. But they're girly, and she's still a kitten, so she just loves
Yeah.
attention and just want to
Oh.
be here all the time. Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How am I? I was just talking about a retreat concept that I want to bring into birth. It's kind of I can feel the labor pains, right? Opening up, but yeah, so I'm excited about that. So I just got off a call about that and we'll see what happens. But it's exciting because, it's like the first time that I think that um I feel like I've been creative, and that I'm allowing this flow of creativity to be processed without the limitations that I've had in the past, fears and false expectations of, being crushed or whatever it is. It's exciting. It's a good place to be. Yeah.
Hmm.
How about you?
Good, good.
Yeah.
It is a public holiday here today, and
Fun.
it is once again extremely hot. Well, it feels extremely hot, but it's maybe not that bad. It just feels like, and brewing thunderstorm again. The heat that happens. I kind of get back to the weather every time, but that's big news around here. But yeah, I'm really good.
Good.
Yeah,
Awesome. Okay.
I'm really good. I didn't sleep much last night because
Oh,
just I God just dropped. Well, God, Holy Spirit, that one.
the
Just
one.
the one just dropped this business idea kind of. Actually, it's not a business idea. I think it's something that I've been sitting with and I just didn't have the vocabulary for it. And that just
Right.
dropped at 1 a.m. this morning. And then I was like, okay, let's do this.
Let's get started.
Let's do that. So yeah, I'm like really excited to see where that flows to. But
Wow.
yeah,
That's so exciting.
I'm done chasing. So if it doesn't flow, then
Yes.
yeah, I'm done chasing. So
Oh, the chasing, right? Oh, yeah. No, it makes you feel heavy just thinking about the chasing. Yeah.
and I'm a really good chaser.
Yeah,
I'm a
you are,
really
girl.
I'm
Mhm.
I'm a really good. I can chase the shit out of things and then be very disappointed if nothing happens at the end.
Yeah.
But so I'm just like, I'm done chasing. I'm just now sitting back, being in that place of just I am enough and I'm attracting. And if I'm not attracting and if it's not coming to me, it's not supposed to be for me.
Yes.
And that's a big mind shift. That's a big
Mhm.
shift from me chasing all the time. But anyway,
Yeah. I think that's a big trap with this, this concept of manifesting. We hear about all the time the law of attraction. Like all these things are great, but I think many of us get stuck in this trap of, well, it's not happening for me. It's not happening fast enough for me. The things that I want to manifest aren't manifesting. In fact, I'm manifesting the opposite. And so there must be something wrong with me or the way that I'm doing things. And then, we want more information, more application, more, and we struggle, chase. And then I think ultimately just say, okay, well, it's just, I give up. But it's in that place of giving up that's actually giving you the opportunity to then begin to receive, because really it is about receiving, because everything has been given to us already. We just aren't aware of it. We're not, for whatever reason, we feel separate from it. We feel like it's out there rather than in here. But yeah, so it's
That's a
good. It's good to
but
bring
but
that.
but that but that's an interesting place, and maybe you can help me out with the idea that I'm kind of sitting with. I kind of had a really quick conversation yesterday since somebody on WhatsApp, and you can't really have a proper conversation texting. But um, I think there's something in that we are co-creators with God. Where do we find the balance between creating and receiving what is already ours?
Yes.
Because I think that creating space is exactly what you were talking about now. I'm creating, so I need to manifest because I'm a co-creator with God and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, where do we find, maybe you have some insight on that, because that's really a question that I'm sitting with, is how do I, because, and then the question kind of came back, but if you have created this and you're a son of God, why isn't that happening?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's a good question. Um,
Yeah.
so do we create from a place of what is given to us and from the fullness of what was already given to us? But then is it creating? How do what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's a paradox, really, because we are in that position where we already have everything. And I think um, because we're in this realm of space and time and relationship with others who are also gods, but humans, and in earth bodies, that all of that manifestation that happens in the spirit instantly, or potentially could happen instantly in creation as God, boom, let there be light, and there was light, because that's, we're created in that image, right, to be able to manifest and create that quickly. But I think that's the beauty and the pain, the two-edged, double-edged sword of being in the body, is that instantaneous manifestation of our creative desire takes some time to actually come into fruition. So, Jesus talked a lot about, planting seeds, and the farmer plants the seeds, then goes to bed at night and goes to sleep, and then, before he knows it. And so there's an element of, we need to take our hands off and trust the process, right? Trust that
But
God's behind the
yes,
scenes.
I do agree, but yet
Yeah.
we create and manifest every single day, every single
Yes.
moment. Okay.
Yes.
We can't live this life if we don't create it. We can't live this life if we don't manifest it. Oh, I want a cup of coffee. That's creating it. Making the cup of coffee is manifesting it. So at a
Mhm.
micro level, we're doing it anyway. And that is happening instantaneously.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
am I creating that from what is available in my kitchen?
Well, I mean, ultimately, if you look at it from the perspective of where God is seated up in heavenly places, or within here, within, and completely detached from what we've created here in terms of manifested, like, physical reality, then this is all technically an illusion, a dream, and it's all liquid and pliable and malleable. So ultimately, the creative spark that initiated your desire to manifest a cup of coffee came from there, right? That it's something that just,
What was first, the chicken or the egg?
it came from that, what was already there. So, but how you're used in the physical realm, whether it's your body or somebody else's body that brings that cup of coffee to you, I think that's just another level of maturity because you can be the one to work and make it happen. There's that, but there's also, oh, I have my family that can do that for me, or I can go to a restaurant and have somebody else make it. So that's another level of manifesting where you're not doing the work, someone else is doing it for you. You're just simply receiving. So I think all of it is receiving. But I think that how much you in the flesh cause that to happen is the dance because you can enjoy that dance or you can grumble and complain about that dance. That dance can be giving you life and joy, or it can be giving you, things to complain about and to be resentful about, which, that correlates with how you're vibrating and what level of frequency. Like, am I in joy? Am I feeling content? Am I feeling glad for making this cup of coffee? Can that be a pleasure for me?
Always glad when
Can
I
I,
make
yeah,
coffee.
or, I think really
Yeah.
that's the key is that sense of I'm fulfilled right now, no matter what I do or no matter what's coming into my life. In this particular moment, I'm connected and I'm in love. I feel loved, I feel supported, and I'm just simply enjoying the things that I'm doing in the body. So yeah. And all of those things, none of them, there's no right or wrong in any kind of way that we take. There's really no right or wrong. But how much joy, I think about the Bible where God said to the Israelites, he said, choose life and death. I mean, choose life or death, choose life and blessings or death and curses. And I've put heaven and earth as a witness to what you choose. And that kind of choosing is really always, it just, I mean, you can have one choice and one decision, and that will govern your life. If you keep coming back to that, you will keep manifesting life, even though it might appear to be death. It might appear to be a struggle, but you're choosing life, choosing life. But on an even, more I like multifaceted way in every moment of your life, you're making that choice, in every moment with every subtle feeling, every thought that comes, you're making that choice. Am I choosing life or death? And that will, you know, because heaven and earth have been witnesses to you, heaven and earth then align to your choice. So yeah. That's a deep freaking question, Mart-Marie. It's too early in the morning for me.
Sorry. No, I've just been, it's so beautiful when you said it's paradox because I've really been, and I'm kind of a black and white, or not black and white, but I kind of want to, this works or this works, it's kind of
Yeah.
what works.
Yeah.
And with that, I've seen exactly when you said the word paradox, I was like, yeah, that's true. Because it is that. It is really that dance. Sometimes you manifest, sometimes you create, sometimes you wait, sometimes you flow, sometimes it is really,
And can you be okay with it all?
yeah,
Really?
and it really comes back to that place of intimacy. And
Mhm.
we've spoken about this before, but it really comes back to that place of awareness, um,
Yes.
and being in the right now. Um, because what worked 10 minutes ago might not work now again, um, because that's old wine. It's a new wineskin. And
Yeah.
we don't think in terms of, hey, wineskins can change in 10 minutes or in such short periods. But what really it is like a whole lifetime in 10 minutes has happened.
Yeah.
Um, and what has worked back then can't work right now or in the next 10 minutes. So we really need to be constantly aware of what God is doing in the now.
Yeah.
Um, and what is Holy Spirit and what is that intimate place in the now? How do I? And sometimes we need to create and manifest and rest all for the same thing.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
once again, we are not just one dimensional. And I think that's a big thing that I've realized, is that being the beings that we are not one dimensional. And what is coming from heaven through us is also not one dimensional.
Yes.
So it might need different approaches to eventually manifest itself through us on earth. So it might need manifesting, it might need to, hey, I need to, sit and envision this, I need to create this, but it also might need just waiting and seeing, and going with, hey, this is what Holy Spirit is saying. So it's
Yeah.
really, nothing is just, there's one.
Not linear, unfortunately. It's not a 12-step plan. Yes.
And there I thought, that's my next book title. 12 steps to. I don't know, to what? To a happy life, to becoming
Yeah.
rich, to I don't know
Yes.
what.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It's a spectrum. It's all over the place. Yeah, and sometimes I view it as though, okay, so in scripture where all the angels and Satan himself go and they present himself before God, and they have conversations with him, and God will say, okay, yeah, do that. Satan comes up and he says, yeah, he talks about Job, and yeah, well, you've got him protected, and all right, well, you can do this, but not that, you can only go this far. And then there was the lying spirit. Well, this was in a different part of the Bible, but the lying spirits, well, I will be a lying spirit to whomever, so that, and God said, yeah, you do that, you be you. And that's a great idea. So I see ourselves as that God, and all of these opportunities they're coming and they're presenting themselves to us, and we can view them however we want to view them. We can view them as opportunities, we can view them as lying spirits, we can view them as Satan, we can view them as angels. However we view them, we are giving them the opportunity to be them. Like we're creating who they are. And so when these opportunities and things come up to us, we can say yes or no. That's the choice, right? Yes, no. But they come and they present themselves, and sometimes it'll be an emotion, sometimes it'll be a desire, sometimes it'll be a craving, sometimes it'll be an opportunity. But we are the ones that say yes or no. And there's no right or wrong in the decisions that we make, but what is more beneficial to you shining your light to the world? Because really you're a light, and you don't want to cover, you don't want to constrict and restrict your God self from engaging in the world. You want to be open and give opportunity for everything to come to you, right? When you constrict and you hide yourself, they can come knocking, but you're going to just, I don't want it. And then that's okay. You can have that kind of life, but in the end of it, are you going to be fulfilled? Are you going to be satisfied? Right? And there's
that is such a,
risk to both.
but that is such an interesting, and I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. I look at myself first of all, and I look at around, at the people the closest and around me, is how many times our programming is, well, no, I'm not going to talk about anybody else. I'm going to talk about myself. Is how many times my programming is stopping me from just seeing the opportunities, seeing, because that thing comes to me, the lying spirit comes to me. I see him as lying spirit and I judge it as bad,
Yes.
not seeing it as purposeful. So I make a decision when it comes to me like, no, 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 no. You're a lying spirit, therefore you must be bad. But if I can, and I'm learning this, I'm learning this, like if I can look at the lying spirit coming to me and not make a judgment on you are bad, but you are purposeful, why are you here? What is your purpose?
Yeah.
Then the whole conversation looks different.
Yes. It's
Then
beautiful.
the whole conversation is like, hold on, you want you the purpose. Oh, I'm not going to accept that purpose, but I can repurpose your purpose to a different place. And I think that is, but my programming many times stopped me from that, what you said, that openness, that receiving thing. And I'm wondering how many things is sitting in creation, how many things is just sitting around me in my life, waiting for me to recognize and say yes.
Yeah.
But my programming is like,
Ultimately, yeah.
no, I don't want to go there. No, I'm afraid. Fear. Sorry, but coming back to your to your retreat that I can't wait. When? But you use the word fear, and how many things have we said no to because of that fear? Not that fear, but just fear in general. How many
Yeah.
things have not happened because we just block it? And I think also a big block is, once again, the striving, is the doing part of it. The hey, I need to create this. So I'm
Yeah.
creating something because I think I have to. But in that kind of pushing through it, it's actually stopping the process of what is already there. I'm
Yes.
just rambling on now, trying to make sense in my own head.
No,
What I'm
it's
thinking.
you're bang on because it's been said that there are really only two states or two emotions, two states, love or fear. And that's really how we make decisions. And so that programming goes back to, the initial virus. That program is fear, which holds us back. It constricts us. If we think about Adam in the garden, they were presented an opportunity to eat a fruit, although they had, God said you can freely eat from any tree, right? And so they had all this abundance around them, but they were fixated on the one, for whatever reason, that created something within them, this desire. So they had this desire. And it wasn't a thing that they were condemned for. Because God said, when you eat of it, you're gonna die. And then the other alternative was that, well, it's not death, it's just that your eyes will be open and you'll be like God. So it's not actually a condemnation to eternal hell and suffering. It's just this or that, which is just an experience. And God never said you're going to be separated from me. He just interpreted, like, so Adam made these interpretations when their eyes were open. When they ate, they looked down at themselves and they were like, oh my gosh, I'm naked, something's missing. So that fear came in, and then they heard God walking in the cool of the day, so they had this opportunity to just chill, but they were ashamed and they hid themselves, so that fear caused them to hide. But God was still saying, I'm here. And who actually told you that you were naked? Like, God knew. I know you're naked. I love you. I'm here with you. But that awareness of some kind of lack, that they were not given what they thought they were expecting, that they somehow got the short end of the stick. All of these interpretations caused them to constrict and turn away. And so we do that based on that program of fear. And so we limit ourselves.
But
Yeah.
if we really think about fear, and I think uh, Holy Spirit just reminded me of that. But fear is really, we really fear, and you can take that to the biggest thing, but you can also bring it down to the smallest thing. But fear is really when we don't know who God is,
Yes. And we don't know who we are.
and we don't know who we are, because
Yes.
it was so beautiful when you said that there's only two places, there's love and there's fear. If you really know love, and you know love covers all,
Yeah.
so if you really, if you and I'm once again, I'm just sitting and I'm seeing the fear kind of playing, I see the things that I'm fearful of, and as I'm seeing the things that I'm dealing with and fearful of, I'm seeing like, oh my gosh, I'm not trusting God in that area because I don't know the love of God in that
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Has he shown it to me before? Yeah. Is it programming? Yeah. Do I need to submit that to him? Yes. But that
Yeah.
is really because I just don't know. Don't know his father's heart in that specific area. That's why
Yeah.
I'm fearful.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a psalm that says, that, I will make your goodness known in the land of forgetfulness, something along those lines. And the land of forgetfulness is this right here. We're in it. We're in this
Mhm.
realm. This is the land of forgetfulness. Some scholars that I know have said that we drink from the cup of forgetfulness, which there's reference to other cups. Jesus said, can you drink this cup of suffering? And so it's like we ingest this, we take this and we forget. And so really this life is a matter of remembering who you are and where you came from. And then from that state, you are then empowered to be self-sufficient, self-sustaining, self-supportive, while also giving your light to the world, right? Which is pretty much, Jesus's life, death, and crucifixion and resurrection. And so we are just remembering. And so the fear is something that facilitates that process of coming back to remembrance. That fear is a guide, and it can help us to be aware of what is actually our deepest fulfillment. So if there's an area where you feel like you said, I don't know that God loves me in this, it's just that you forget. And so now you have an opportunity to come back into remembrance, and you allow that to, um, you allow patience to have her perfect work. You allow patience to support you, and you trust in God's timing, because we're encouraged in the Song of Solomon to allow love to awaken when it so desires. Do not arouse or awaken love until it so desires. So we're given that opportunity to just say, okay, I see this fear that's holding me back. I really want to do that, but there's something inside of me that I'm not remembering that I am actually wholly loved and supported to go ahead and do this. But I'm going to open myself. I see myself. I love myself because Christ loves me. I'm going to believe that Christ loves me, and somehow it'll happen. It's just that's the light. It's the awareness of the fear, the awareness of the supposed limitation or lack. And then the opening of, I don't know what to do with this, but I'm going to trust you because you're in me. Yeah. So fear isn't a bad thing, right? Even death isn't a bad thing. It's just a new experience. It
Yes,
really depends on what perspective we take,
death
the one of
is
suffering
a
or of victory. Yeah.
bad thing.
Yeah.
You are stepping on a few toes. Explain,
Oh,
Susan.
that fear is not a bad thing.
Death is
Well,
not a bad thing.
yeah. So I think, this is in alignment with what Paul says when he says, with my mind I worship God, and yet my body is a slave to sin. So our bodies being slaves to sin is simply the hope that we have been called to, which is the redemption of the body. And so our body stores, chemistry, it stores electricity, it stores hormones and adrenaline and cortisol, all these things that our nervous system um, causes us to respond to the outside through, right? This is how we live life, is through this nervous system, through this body. And fear can initiate those somatic responses within us that then gives us the opportunity to interpret them in whole or not so whole ways. So if you have a lot of programming in your family line, for example, a lot of examples of being in fight, flight, and being highly volatile and easily motivated by fear to run away or hide or fight, that sympathetic nervous system state, then you begin to engage with your feelings and your thoughts from that perspective, which keeps you locked down. So fear in that sense doesn't feel positive. doesn't feel supportive, doesn't feel like it's a good thing. And conversely, on the other end of the spectrum is our sometimes need to just shut everything out and slip into a parasympathetic state where we freeze and yeah, and we're not able to then respond. We're frozen, we're stuck, we don't know what to do, and it feels just as debilitating and unfulfilling. And in that sense, fear just can be overwhelming where you just want to lock down and hide away from it. And those things need to be um, loved and cared for. Those responses are body responses that are very natural, you know? It's just like arousal when you're put in a situation where you're with someone that you really like, that love that awakens, that arousal that awakens is very natural. It's a body response, a somatic response, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. But it can be a place of shame for many when that's awakened, when it's not so desired, when the capacity isn't there to handle that. So yeah, so
That
it's
is
really
that
about,
that that is
yeah,
really interesting. And sorry that I'm kind of
no, no,
cutting you off now, but that is really interesting the way you just explained it. Because I've never thought of it in that way. A big part of how I grew up, a big part even of my adult life, is that sometimes I think I'm out of it now, but there was a time where I felt like I was constantly in fight or flight, that I was just living in that state. But I never recognized the feelings because as you were talking, I was like, but fear is always uncomfortable. It's never nice. It's
yes,
never, there's nothing, if you feel it in the moment, there's nothing nice about being afraid, having that feeling of fear in that moment. So when do we, and my question was almost like, so the good from fear is always afterwards, but you say, no, it isn't.
yeah,
You say, hold on, recognize the fear, see what
yes,
it is, feel it for what it is, like the arousal that you're talking about, see it, recognize it, and I
yeah,
never made that connection. you
yes,
know, let's bring it to something else, to hunger. I'm hungry now. Recognize the feeling in your body.
yes,
Don't judge it. Don't shame it. This is what it is. And
yes,
then it takes the sting or it takes the power almost out of it.
yes,
And
yes.
now and
So
and now fear isn't a bad thing that I need to deal with or only feel off better after. It's like, okay, I'm fearful. This is what's happening, and immediately you deal with the emotion. Am I hearing you correctly?
yes, 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 in a way, yes. Um, yeah. I just want to take it one step further back
Okay.
because we've identified fear, we've labeled fear, and we have a category for fear. So we think that fear is this. But if we step away from that, even, and we have a buffer and we are able to feel a sensation, if we can just call it a sensation and not fear, if we can just say this is the experience that I'm having right now, and not call it fear, then it gives us this sort of spacious buffer to then engage our prefrontal cortex and make decisions from that space of detachment rather than being motivated by the sensation, which we can then identify as fear or whatever it is. So
That's a great idea, but give me an example of that from something other than fear. How would I recognize something other than that sensation that you're talking about? Give me a different example that I can.
okay, so let's say you are in school and you're next in line to do your presentation in front of the class. So you're sitting there and whoever's up is speaking. And more likely than not, you're not really listening to what they have to say because you're already projecting yourself up there in front of the class. and you're already feeling your body. Your heart begins to race, your hands, your palms might get sweaty, you might get a little fidgety, you can't get comfortable. Your breathing increases, it gets more rapid, it becomes higher up in the chest. And your thought isn't really about what's happening right now in the moment. It's about, I want to die. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. How am I going to do? Everybody's going to laugh at me, or whatever the thoughts and sensations are. So that sense of detachment, where you can be in that position in the chair as that kid and recognize, wow, my hands are sweaty. Wow, my heart's racing. I'm feeling cold. Um, all of those things are guides to bring us into the present moment, and then to be able to make choices based on those things. So if you can be okay knowing that, oh yeah, my hands are sweaty, and be detached from that. Oh, interesting. I'm having this feeling go through my body. Interesting. I'm still here. I'm still present. It's an opportunity to acknowledge God in that moment. It's an opportunity to say, I'm not alone. And although I'm feeling these sensations, you're here with me and you make my path straight. So I'm going to trust you right here, right now, with my dry mouth, my sweaty palms, my chills, and however these sensations want me to interpret them as fear, I'm not going to. I'm just going to be okay with it. So that's not something that we're taught. It's something that we have to learn.
It's very interesting because as I'm listening to you, I'm like, this is not my programming. Okay. So like you just said, we are not taught this way. So my programming is like, but those are symptoms of fear. I'm fearful, therefore my hands are sweaty. I'm fearful, therefore. And it's interesting that you said that you added, why am I fearful? I'm fearful because of this and because of that. I didn't even think about why I'm fearful. I'm just like, I don't want to be up there. I don't want to do this. So for me, that is symptoms of, so, but you say, hold on, just because it's a sensation doesn't mean it's a symptom.
Yes. Beautiful. That's
Okay.
exactly it.
So
Yes.
just because I have the sensation, but what is creating the sensation if it's not fear?
It is the opportunity for you to acknowledge God. It is the opportunity for you to step into the fullness of the power of who you are. It is the opportunity for you to then create and say, I see all this, but I'm going to go up there and I'm going to be the brightest light that I can be.
And I agree, but that sensation is coming from somewhere. That sensation is an energy that was transferred or
Yes.
shifted or changed
So
from one to another.
that's a
So
great question.
that is coming
Who
from
creates
somewhere.
everything? Who creates everything?
Well, we are already created. We are already in the fullness
Who has
of
created
God.
everything? Who's
Yeah.
created all of these waves and atoms and molecules and frequencies? Who's created it all? And so that is where it comes from ultimately, isn't it? And we are the ones that judge it. We are the ones that employ it.
All right. So I'm trying to shift the paradigm for myself. So what you're saying is when I start to feel the sensation, feel the I'm gonna have to stand up there. I'm gonna have to do this speech in the next 2 minutes. My hands are sweaty, my heart is racing. Energy in me is creating this. The energy
Yes.
that was created in me was already. So now what I'm doing is something is creating that. Something in my nervous system is saying, hey, hold on, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there. So my nervous system is responding to what I'm creating.
Yes.
Oh, there it is. My nervous system is responding to what I'm creating that isn't in the now moment. That is why there is this sensation that is coming up. And now, instead of just seeing the sensation for what it is, I judge it as whatever.
That's it.
And
You're
if,
creating that.
and
Yeah.
if I can accept the sensation for what I'm creating in the next minute or two, if I can take that sensation and not judge it as fear, but
Yeah.
just see it for what it is, for the ends,
Yeah.
that kind of just takes away the power of the fear.
It does. Yes. But that again, that's something we need to learn and relearn and let go of.
Yeah.
Because like for me, for example, for my whole upbringing, it was extremely volatile. There was such violence and animosity and negativity, that it took me many, many years of therapy and ministry and prayer and counseling and seeking to come to a place where I was able to feel safe enough to say, okay, I'm going to love myself just as I am, and go from there, because I was ready for death. And this is what all of that was telling me. All my programming was telling me I'm not actually going to live until I die. And so it's taking me a number of years, and I'm still in the process of allowing my nervous system to release the stuck trauma that's been there for all these years, and not just my own, but from my parents and their parents. And so I'm aware when these sensations come into my body, but there's still a big magnetic pull or temptation, can call it that, to call it fear, to call it death. But in every moment, I've learned to choose life. In every moment, with every breath, I know God's with me. I'm learning that, and that's become part of my grid that I feel safe within. That even though I might be feeling and experiencing this, what I would have originally called fear or panic or shame or suffering, I'm beginning to look at it from the perspective of, with my mind, I worship God, while yet my body is a slave to sin. So I'm feeling these things in my body that feels like it's still a slave. But in my awareness of God, I can then create a new body, because the same breath that raised Christ from the dead now gives life to this mortal body. So I can take that breath and trust that life, that my body is being made new, and that my bodily responses are being made new, that my nervous system is being recreated, that my wine skin can then contain new wine, which is better than the first wine. So it's a process, but we need to implement some kind of support system within the body of Christ to be able to facilitate that kind of support, because we've not had that before. And if we had it, it wasn't known. Yeah.
I'm just
But you
thinking,
start with loving yourself. That's the very first step.
yeah. But I'm just thinking, once again, how long have I suffered with depression?
Mhm.
Not just me, but many people I know. Um, for me, it comes and goes. But it is like you say, that if we can have the awareness, and we can have, now I've labeled it as depression, but it's the same thing as fear. If I can have the ability, or not if I can, because I have the ability, I just wasn't open to it. I wasn't, my programming that just didn't help me to see what the sensations and the signs were, and the energy that was created through what I was projecting coming in the future. And that created the sensation. And immediately I attached it to something that somebody else said before, that some doctor said before, that something I read on the internet,
Yeah.
and then suddenly, oh, I'm depressed.
Yeah.
While Well, if I have the ability to just recognize the sensation for what it is and not label it,
Yeah.
um, and really just bring it, suddenly it feels like the power of depression, that there's no power anymore.
Yes.
And I'm
Your
speaking,
friend.
and yeah, I'm speaking for myself. I know that talking about depression is a very thin line, and that's
Yes.
not as simple. But I think
Right.
for me, is if I when I learn, because I'm going to learn this now, to recognize the sensations. And as
Yes.
you were talking, I'm just realizing I'm living with my brother at the moment, and sometimes things happen in the house, and you feel the sensation kind of coming up, and what is it? It is really just me labeling a sensation, and suddenly that energy that I'm feeling becomes something because I've labeled it or I judged it as good or bad.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's it. And I mean, um, in the concept, it's simple. The application can be a journey.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can, yeah. Because it comes back. It comes back constantly to the awareness
Yeah.
and the intimacy and the being in God and being there and not, you know what? And I think there's something that God once showed me, and I'm coming back to the now. And I'm sure that we're going to speak about the now still many times, but I do believe that it's so important for us to live in the now. But I also believe that that is the only place where we have complete freedom. Um,
Yes.
the now is the only place where where the blood of Christ has its fullest power.
Yes.
Um, you know, because tomorrow doesn't exist yet, or 5 minutes from now doesn't exist yet, and 5 minutes back is gone.
Yes.
And yet, those two things are playing against each other within the now. But in the now is the place where we are the freest, where the blood is the most powerful. Um,
Beautiful.
so if we can continue, and and sometimes that living from that place of now brings me to a place of lack, brings me from
Yes.
to a place of I don't have enough, I don't have, but I actually do, and in the now I'm actually abundant. But we should also know that there's abundance in now.
Yes.
There's not now isn't there's always abundance in now. The now isn't gonna stop.
Yes.
Uh,
And that sense of lack is also an interpretation. But I mean, it can come from very tangible things. You can look at your bank account. Thank you so much. You can look at your bank account and think, well, this is lack, and it feels like lack, and every sensation within you. And the credit card company could be calling you saying, you're in lack, you're in lack. But the truth is, we've been given everything we need for life and godliness. We're never separated from the love of God. And we're always connected to our source, and our source is in here. So it's a matter of reinterpreting those messengers, like the bank account, like the credit card company calling, and the sensations in the body that are aroused and awakened when they're poked that way. So all of that is an opportunity. That feeling of lack, that feeling of not having enough, it's really, I think, the biggest stumbling block, but it's the biggest thing that we can embrace to help us reconnect to ourself and to God. Because that sense of lack, I think, it also instigates fear, because if we felt that we were connected, that even that fear we would turn back to God to with, you know? Yeah. So somehow we are lacking in our relationship with God, and it's manifesting in these out exterior fleshy things, material things. But these are also guides to show us what is inside of us. And that gives us the opportunity to then recreate, label and reinterpret from a higher perspective.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's a scary place to be because much of it is unknown. But again, like we talked about earlier, it's just remembering. We've forgotten. We've forgotten what it feels like to be supported by the unknown, by the expanse, by the void. We've forgotten how it feels to I don't even know the words, to be in the amniotic fluid of the womb of God, where everything is just downloaded into us through the umbilical cord that keeps us connected. We're suspended, supported. We've just forgotten. But we can remember that little by little. It starts with our turning toward ourselves and saying, you know what? You've done the best that you knew how to do with what you've been given. And I'm very proud of you. You've done everything that you knew to do to support yourself, protect yourself, make a life for yourself, to fit into this world, to be known, to be seen, to be heard. I see you and I'm proud of you. And just that simple acknowledgement of yourself can be very deeply healing and can begin a journey of transformation, of remembering who you are. Because you're not inadequate. You don't even need healing. You've just forgotten. And I'm talking to myself. I tell myself this all the time. Yeah.
Mm.
And you can support yourself too. When your nervous system begins to discharge, you'll begin to feel those things that you've stuffed down. You'll begin to tremble. You'll begin to release. You'll begin to cry. You'll begin to sweat, shake, maybe even feel like you're going to die. But if you acknowledge that, yeah, you know what, I've been in fight, flight, or freeze all my life. And I haven't felt safe enough to allow my nervous system to discharge. And this is that. I'm giving myself that opportunity right now, and get support when you need to, because the truth is, community, healing on your own is great, but healing within a community, it's deeper, it's more profound, because you're witnessed by others who are also witnessing themselves in you, and you co-regulate. You can see them, their eyes are on you, your eyes are on them, and you co-regulate. That's what we do as children when we're in a family and we look at our mom's eyes to, am I okay? Yeah, you're okay. Okay, I'm okay. That's how we co-regulate. And within that safe community of people who just love you just because you're there, like not for what you've done or who you've become, but just because you're there. It's so deeply healing. And these are some of the things that we need to look at in especially in the mental health industry. Talk therapy is great, it has its place, but being witnessed and being supported and being held, so that you can discharge your nervous system and come back into balance, that's huge. Yeah.
I think many people struggle with the idea of being still
Yeah.
and being witnessed. Well, I for sure do. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not much of a music listener. I prefer silence. I can go for days without music or radio or anything, listening to anything. I love just being quiet. Um, but I think people struggle with, because I feel like that's almost the first step, is to be comfortable enough with just being quiet. Um,
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah.
and just let the quietness. I remember when I started to meditate many years ago, how my nervous system, how my body just didn't want to.
Yes.
Didn't want to. And I think I've heard many people say that when they start meditating, it's like, my body don't want to do this. I don't know, and how you have to train. But I think and that is, it comes back to the sensations that we were talking about earlier. It comes back to we feel the sensation and then kind of label it. Now I need to. But I think there's a big thing about there's something really, really important about the ability to be quiet, to be still.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I love breath work so much, because to me, it's a gateway into stillness because you're still active, you're still in the process, you're still engaging with your body, allowing your body to move when it needs to. You don't have to sit in a certain position, you don't have to still your mind. You can be aware you can breathe with your mind being full of thoughts. But the breath, which is spirit, the breath and the spirit can go into your body and resolve some of those things so that you can release emotion and sensation, so that you can be more comfortable with being more still, because it's not a safe place, because that's often the time where those who have been stuck in those patterns of trauma and volatility, that they are most vigilant. They're hyper vigilant in those moments, because if you let your guard down, something bad could happen to you. And so breath work for me has been very extremely beneficial in an exponential way compared to other modalities, because it allowed me to release a lot without pushing myself to a place of being incapacitated. So when I felt that there were moments in my breath work that I was meeting edges that were too tender for me to step into, nope, I'm gonna stay in my peace. I'm gonna stay in my rest. And so you can pull back. So you have the right to say no. You have that ability. You have that sovereignty to say, I want to go for that. No, I'm not going for that. And then you slowly build that capacity to be able to stay more and more still in meditation. But I mean, it's one way. And for me, it's been a huge benefit. But that with, some of the softer, because sometimes we can use activity to keep those things down rather than process them, to allow them to come up. So activity can keep that cycle going. And so slowing down the activity, so you can do yoga, qigong, tai chi, walking in nature, those subtler ways of connecting to quiet and connecting to peace and love, where you're not feeling as vulnerable and susceptible to attack. Those are also extremely beneficial in helping you to build a capacity to be more still. So, yeah.
So, Susan, if somebody's listening to this and they really feel that they need, or some of this resonates with them, like, I need some help, can they reach out to you?
Please, yeah, yeah. And if I am not able to help, I will do my best to try to connect you to someone who can.
Um,
If you go to my website, bornagainbreathwork.com, there's a free discovery call that you can book with me, and we can sit and chat for 30 minutes and see if I can help you, support you, or at least give you hope that you're not alone.
hmm,
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, the link will be in the description as well. So if you missed it now, it will be in there. Connect with Susan.
Mm.
Mm. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, my love.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
very deep today.
This was a good conversation. I love these. I love these. Yeah. Wow.
Mhm. Yeah, I love to. I love.
Well, yeah. We have exciting plans going forward. We have, so if you're listening
Yeah.
to us, continue
Mhm.
to listen. There's going to be
Yes,
happening exciting stuff down the
you
road.
bet.
We are really, really, really excited for what God is stirring up. Somebody
Yes.
made a comment the other day about the flock, and I think that comes from episode 1, and that was really cool. I was like,
Uh,
yeah. So yeah, it's amazing. And once again, we want to invite anybody who's listening, please reach out to us, me, Susan, emails in the description. Um, there's a WhatsApp group, comments, whatever. Let us please connect with us. We would love
yes.
to hear your thoughts. And if you want just to hear what we're thinking about whatever topic,
Yeah,
let us know. That will be fun. What do
that
you
would
think?
be fun.
What do you think about this? I think
That would be so fun.
that would be really cool. So if you wanna talk about anything or want us to talk about anything specific, I don't have all the answers. Susan
Bring it.
don't have all the answers, but we can make up a whole bunch of stuff. We love to talk.
Absolutely.
So
Pull this
yeah.
out of the air.
Thank you, Lord, for
Yeah.
wisdom.
We'll put whatever spin you want on it.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will have an opinion.
Yes.
Susan, I love you. Thank you for this
I love
time.
you.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I need to do it again soon.
Okay. Yeah. Love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Mwah, mwah.
Blessing.
Bye.
Hugs. All right. Have a great weekend. Love you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.